Have you ever had a lack of energy? Have you ever set off to accomplish something and felt like you needed an extra boost to get where you're going? Let's talk about that today. We're going to visit some of Nicoll's work with Gurdjieff, old and new. I'm Roach, Mark Roach, here to share a different perspective, potentially, with you, and hold your hand, help you if you need it, and help you find and appreciate what's really unique and special about you, especially if you've been through trauma. This may have opened up some pathways inside of you that you're exploring. I went through a lot of that in my life, and that's why I started this channel called Transcendent. So let me share some of the old work initially that Maurice Nicoll did based on his interactions with Gurdjieff. And I can't help but think that there's some reflection here from working with Carl Jung back in the 40s and 50s. So this is from the fourth volume of Maurice Nicoll's psychological commentaries. And it's called On Making Force in the Work for Yourself. And I underlined a few verses or sentences in this that I wanted to share from the original text. And then I'll come back and share a modern day updated version that I hope is relevant and may draw you further into the work. So let me share a few sentences that I thought I just highlighted as I was going through this back in the day. Like those people mentioned in the Gospels who were given talents, it refers, of course, to a school of esoteric teaching. Some were given, say, 5 talents and made out of that 10 talents and so on. One was given 1 talent and he buried it in the earth. So let me quote this parable. It is as a man going into another country. He called his own servants and delivered unto them his goods. And unto one he gave 5 talents, to another 2, to another 1, to each according to his several ability. And he went on his journey. Straightway that he received the 5 talents, went and traded them, and made another 5 talents. In like manner he also received 2, gained the other 2. But he that received the 1 went away and digged in the earth and hid his Lord's money. Now after a time the Lord of those servants cometh and maketh a reckoning of them. And he that receiveth the 5 talents came and brought other 5 talents, saying, Lord, thou deliverest me 5 talents. Lo, I have gained another 5 talents. His Lord said to him, Well done, good and faithful servant. Thou hast been faithful over a few things. I will set thee over many things. Enter thou into the joy of thy Lord. And he that had received 2 talents came and said, Lord, thou gave me or deliverest unto me 2 talents. Lo, I have gained the other 2 talents. His Lord said unto him, Well done, good and faithful servant. Thou hast been faithful over a few things. I will set thee over many things. Enter thou into the joy of thy Lord. And he that had received 1 talent came and said, Lord, I knew thee that thou art a hard man, reaping where thou didst not sow, and gathering where thou didst not scatter. And I was afraid, and I went away, and I hid the talent in the earth. Lo, hast thou known? But his Lord answered and said unto him, Thou wicked and slothful servant, thou knewest that I reap where I did not scatter. Thou oughtest therefore to have put my money to the bankers, and at my coming I should have received back mine own with interest. Take ye away from, therefore, the talent from him, and give it to him that hath 10 talents. For unto everyone that hath shall be given, and he shall have abundance. But from him that hath not, even that which he hath shall be taken away, and cast out into the unprofitable servant, into the outer darkness, where there shall be weeping and gnashing of teeth. That's from Matthew chapter 15, verses 14 through 30. I don't think he's talking about money there. I think, although at one point in time, I think money was considered, an object like talents. But I think there we'll come back to that. I think it's more around the concept of your calling and your abundance, your opportunities that you find in life. Can you understand without negative prejudice that the whole symbolic fairy tale story or parable means that if you're given force, you have to increase it in yourself? And this is what I started with here is, whenever you run out of energy or things don't seem to be going good and you're looking for a way to get your second wind, that speaks to digging deeper down inside of yourself to increase this force from deep within inside. And he goes on to say, you do not need only the force that the work gives you, but you begin to find a source of force in yourselves. This means the seed is growing. Yes, you will have to be constantly reminded of the work and what that's about. Otherwise, you fall asleep. Then toward the end here, he talks about attitude, because I think attitude is related to our access to force and energy. And he says, your mind is clothed with the wrong attitudes and the wrong truth. You are taken to a higher level than you're at and shown what you are certain of, namely, that you know what is right, what is wrong. Is the wrong clothing of the mind, the wrong views, the wrong attitudes, and so the wrong mind. Okay, so that's the original. And like I've mentioned a few times, I think some of the original language that was used here, of course, this was also written in Europe back around 1950. So I think some of that may be hard to relate to today. So that's why I've rewritten some of this with the hope that this would speak to people today in a little more relevance. So let me share what I ended up rewriting here. Again, this is on making force in the work for yourself, on creating your own force in the work. In this journey of self-development, it is essential to stay connected to the purpose of the work. Life can easily lull us into a state of sleep where we get lost in every event and forget what this work is all about. That's why regular reminders through meetings, conversations, and reflection are crucial. When we fall asleep in life, we become identified with whatever is happening around us. We lose touch with our deepest understanding of the work. Often when someone first encounters the teachings, they wake up a little bit. But without effort, they soon fall back asleep. Why? Because they aren't generating their own energy by working on themselves. It's like the parable of the talents from the gospel. Some people are given resources and use them to grow, while others bury them out of fear or laziness. The lesson is clear. If you're given energy or insight into the work, you need to cultivate it and make it grow within yourself. The work is like a seed planted in you. It has the potential to grow if you nurture it. The question to ask yourself is, what have you done with this seed? How have you used what you've learned to create your own inner strength? It's not enough to rely on the energy that comes from external sources like meetings or teachings. You need to find a way to generate your own force through consistent effort. Falling asleep means becoming overly identified with life's events, letting them control you. When this happens, you lose everything, something vital, your ability to remember yourself. We have all had this power within us, but most of us lose it because we're surrounded by people who are also asleep. This ability to remember yourself is what distinguishes humans from animals. If you could remember yourself consistently, you wouldn't get swept away by life's events because you'd always have an awareness of your deeper self. Most people operate in a lower state of consciousness where they are driven by external events. In this state, nothing real or essential can grow within them. But if you begin to serve the work and you make it your guide instead of life's random events, your inner world will start to change. To transform yourself, you need a new kind of force, something beyond what life can offer. Life alone cannot change you. In fact, the more deeply you immerse yourself in life's distractions, the harder it becomes to evolve. Many people have sacrificed greatly in their quest for transformation because they understood that real change requires opposing life's hypnotic pull. Understanding symbols and dreams. Let me simplify this further with an example. Imagine standing by the sea and watching waves roll in. These waves represent life's events. Sometimes small and manageable, sometimes overwhelming. If you're not prepared when a big wave hits, it can swamp your boat. That's your inner self. But over time, you might learn how to navigate these waves or even avoid setting sail in the stormy weather altogether. Or think of another common dream scenario. You walk into a room wearing inappropriate clothes and feel out of place. This symbolizes having the wrong mindset or the wrong attitude for your current situation. In this case, your clothes represent outdated beliefs or perspectives that no longer serve you as you move toward higher levels of understanding. The language of dreams and symbols often speaks from a deeper part of ourselves, the higher emotional center, which communicates through imagery rather than literal facts. These symbols are meant to guide us towards greater self-awareness and transformation. In summary, if you're serious about this work, remember that it requires constant effort and self-reflection. You must generate your own inner force by working on yourself daily, not just relying on external sources for motivation. Only then can real transformation occur as you learn to navigate life without being overwhelmed by its events. I'm Mark Roach, wishing you all the best.